Hello everyone, and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about George Orwell's Animal Farm, one of his two most famous works, the other one being 1984, which I will get to when I get to. Anyway, story is basically, at the start, you have this farmer dude by the name of Mr. Jones, who's essentially a tyrannical douchebag, treating all the animals like garbage, feeding them only like barely enough to survive on. Then one day, an old pig by the name of Mr. Jones comes in, gives a rousing speech about how everyone should just rise up, and if they did, then everything would be all fine and great and stuff. And eventually they do get to doing that. They rise up, kick Mr. Jones off the farm, and yeah. And though he does try to come back to take back the farm, the animals are able to kick him out the second time, and then next thing you know, they build their big animal government, and which they call Animal Farm, hence the title, and then everyone lives happily ever for a while. And because this is actually like the beginning. Like most other stories, this would be like just the first two things that I said, the big revolution, kicking the guy out, could be like an entire movie of itself. And the one of evil dude trying to take back the throne is probably be like another movie right there, But this is like the beginning. This is just like the very beginning of the book. And, this is really cool. Anyway, though there are like flaws, which with their government, with corruption, everything is going very well, but then you get into this coup and with Napoleon and kicking Snowball out, and then everything just goes way downhill, and this is the point where in the end where spoilers, the movie is eventually, everyone's lives are even worse than before. And could be sort of seen as, and this is just essentially like a gigantic cautionary tale, like how, straight up revolutions won't always work, there won't be the way you want them to, all that easily, the livelihoods of people could just as depending on whoever's leading the revolution and the various circumstances involved, there's this project with a windmill and it just keeps falling apart and so forth because of various reasons, and that's sort of also leads into the animals' deteriorating lives, and depending on people in charge and the varying circumstances and stuff that happens could easily lead to either no change in the quality of people's lives or end up with their quality of their life going downward, And there you've seen there are various examples in real life. First, of course, the obvious, the Russian Revolution, which is the one that this was obviously based on, with all the animals calling each other comrade. And then there are other stuff like the French Revolution, where they rebel and chop off the royalties' heads off, and there's a dude by the name of Maximilien de Robespierre, if I recall correctly, who takes over and starts essentially being a complete psycho, chopping people's heads off left and right, even even establishing a thing called the cult of reason, and I always hear about conservatives bringing up people like Hitler or Stalin or Mao about being atheist dictators and stuff, but I never hear anybody bring up this guy, Maximilien de Robespierre, because he was so militant. He actually tried to changed the French, at least in France, their calendar to like some sort of decimal based system or something worth like a 10-day week, so Christians wouldn't know which day Sunday was. And of course eventually he was taken out, his head got chopped off, and eventually Napoleon came in and they're right back into monarchy territory. Then there's like all the way to like 1979 with like the Iranian Revolution, and just with Ayatollahs taking over, turned the whole place into a freaking theocracy and so forth. So, yeah. And I think there's even like the Egyptian Revolution where like I forgot what the name is. I know it's not Gaddafi. He was in Libya. Somebody like correct me or something because I'll probably not remember. But like, eventually, like he is like this dictator in Egypt for like 30 years with the military behind him. And then eventually he was kicked out. There's like a revolution and like lots of protests eventually with the Muslim Brotherhood coming in, tearing apart the charter or whatever, and eventually the military kicking them out, and they were already kind of the ones in charge to begin with. And it even makes me feel kind of grateful about the United States, because we actually came pretty close to having something like that too, with like after we seceded from the British. We weren't a democracy, we're actually a republic. And then there came like this time called the Age of Rebellion, where like there were like rebellions all over the country. The two most famous which are the Whiskey Rebellion and the Shays Rebellion. and George Washington could have easily just come in and just declared himself king and become the new king of America, or new king of the United States anyway. But he decided no and became the president, And though though we still do have problems, we're still doing pretty well, or at least I think we are, in comparison to like some other countries. Yeah, like, even though we have like corruption and shit like that, but anyway. And although I guess you could say we have like technology on our side, so it'd be like if. But back to the story, and all the good stuff about that. Like one thing that I think is really great is like nothing is ever immediate. Like when the closest thing to like an immediate thing that happens, like Napoleon making the coup over Snowball, but then like but everything else, like it's actually just a really slow going downhill, and like with the 7 animal commandments, which I will list off, there's whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy, whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall kill any other animal. And lastly, all animals are equal. And, slowly, one by one, each of these commandments are modified to suit the goals of the pigs in charge. No animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets. No animal shall drink alcohol to excess. The most chilling is no animal shall kill any other animal without cause. And there's one more big example, which is with the character Snowball. Like soon after he's kicked out, he's just like, no, he's like the Napoleon's going like, no, he's a criminal, or he's just a corrupt jerkwad and stuff. And eventually it became like, no, we have found secret documents in which he's was actually secretly aligned with the humans and Mr. Jones. Like, no, actually, it turns out he was, and also he was a coward who he didn't really have the same kind of presence at that second battle when Mr. Jones was trying to take back the farm. And eventually, at the end, he was like, no, actually, he was a complete enemy right from the start. Open, out there. He was fighting right alongside Mr. Jones. And he was just like, for humanity, and like, and all this other stuff. And, yeah, and like, one thing that I'd like to bring up is that I brought up circumstance. Like, you could possibly believe that, maybe if, like, the windmill had gone up without a hitch the first time or whatever, then it would be, like, probably wouldn't have wound up in the situation they were in, but, never. Or, that's what I think, but, so, it's not like it was entirely, Napoleon's own fault that they were, go, like, right downhill with everyone's lives turning to crap, but, yeah. And, anyways, like, this whole thing is just a fantastic book, highly recommended. I give this a full rating of 5 out of 5. Just great, highly recommended, and yeah. Oh, and it should also be worth mentioning that there are 2 cinematic versions of this. The first one was animated in 1954, and the second one is a live-action version in 1999. They both have their flaws and their strengths, but either way, I'd still just recommend reading the book, checking that out. Just a great read. Anyway, next time we're going to be going into a little more lighthearted talk about stuff when we talk about The Hobbit. Now, a major motion picture. Or, actually, I should probably say soon to be 4 major motion pictures, but whatever. Anyway, until then, see you later and keep it fruity, y'all.